Hi there and welcome to my channel again. As you can see, we're back home again, back home from Spain. But of course, I still have to share with you some chapters of my art journal that I created on the road. And this week I'm going to talk about Alhambra, Granada. As I told you in my previous video, we had a city walk through the city of Granada the first day. On the second day, we went to the Alhambra. It is really a must-see. Between the 13th and 15th century, the Alhambra was the official residence of the Nasrid sultans, who wanted to reflect the greatness of Islamic culture through the creation of numerous palaces and gardens. Especially the patterns were stunning and very inspiring to me. Some patterns I was really inspired by the original tile work. This is the book I bought with just tiles and patterns with tile work. And I was really amazed by the 8-pointed star here. And I didn't exactly copy it, but I wanted to have the stars in. And it's also the case with this pattern here. That's on this page here. And it's a lot of counting, measuring, very geometric shapes. And that's not actually my thing, but I thought to bring in the vibes of Granada here. A new thing to me is I used to make patterns in a more organic shape or circle shapes, like here. I still do that. But a new thing is that I'm integrating squares and also, but you can see that later, I use a lot of triangles too. So it's becoming more, oh, here are triangles. I just see them right now. But well, this was so new to me. And I also started working patterns in patterns. So there are these flower shapes. Here is another thing. And here are the circles combined with squares. Here are the 8-pointed stars combined with stars with 4 points. So that was really a wonderful thing to discover. So I did already a lot new stuff, although it wasn't exactly the same patterns as here, but that's almost impossible to do when you have, well, I don't know how they did it. They used to do it in the past, but it's really amazing. I have great respect for the Islamic tile work. I will show you some more pictures in the book to give you a little idea. I love these ones too. On the next spread, I started with gluing down a piece of fabric which was very dark blue, and there was actually a piece of cloth here too with kind of mustard green, and I wanted to bring in that color on the right page as well. But I felt like it was not going the right way. Every time when I added green, it didn't just match my mood, or I didn't like it. So what I did in the end, I was kind of frustrated. I missed my kind of favorite color. I had Payne's Gray with me, but not from the right brand that I'm working with when I'm at home. I normally use the Winsor & Newton, and that's really the best Payne's Gray that I know so far. So maybe you have experience with that. Now I had it from the brand Era, and it was a smaller bottle, so I thought, oh, it would be okay. But it turned out really bad. So I wanted to let this color come back in this page, and my solution was to paste some paper here And well, I covered everything that I've done here. I have no pictures of that because I was really not satisfied about it. So I covered it. It was kind of brown and green. I covered it with these colors, and it was just simple, neutral colors. And then I started carving. So you can still see the colors that I had in the background. And here I did some square. Maybe there's needs to be something in it, but I think it's quite okay, right? Like it is right now. I also love the well, small bits of white and grayish brown that's coming back here. I love the thread that's was already in the fabric. I removed the green, mustard green cloth, and then I looked at the page and I thought, it's okay. And it has nothing to do with the Alhambra, but it's still in this chapter. And if you look closely, it could be an old wall, and there are all kind of floral patterns. And in Islamic art, people do often designs with florals and things out of nature. So I thought it's really good in this chapter of Granada, Alhambra. So maybe I'm going to do something on this page, but I don't think, because I really love the composition and I love the texture of it so much. And this, finally, I want to tell you something about this. I did it with the side of my roller. So I get a, well, kind of stripy thing that's not really like thick or everywhere it's another thickness. On this page you see some patterns again. Some of these patterns I created on the road. So I gathered some paper, I gathered some Posca pens, I gathered some acrylic markers from Amsterdam, some white pens, and I just started created these ones on loose pieces of paper. And I already did the backgrounds when we were somewhere, because it's not really doable to work with paint when you're sitting in the front seat. I tried to sit in the back seat at the table, but our cat really wanted to claim that seat, so I wasn't able to work at all on larger projects while we were driving. But that was not really a problem. It was great to do some patterns while driving. So these ones I actually made on the road. I also used an old jelly print with also a botanical pattern and a piece of fabric with a pattern in it. And I think it's from India, but you see there are also squares in it. And here you can see the thread coming out of it. I really love that. This is another piece of fabric. So there's some paint on this page. When I had something left over from the background from this page, I put it here. And this is actually a pattern from the ceiling. There were patterns everywhere. On the ceilings, the wooden doors, the windows, and of course the tile works. Everywhere you looked, there were patterns. There was so much to see. And if you looked closely to something, there were patterns to discover. On this page you see some bowls that I saw in the museum. It was a really awesome museum. A lot of people walking by, and they were really fast, and I don't understand that because there were so many beautiful things there. Took a lot of pictures, and I was especially in love with this color, and I knew I had some soap package in the same color. So I wanted to use this color as my basic, well, color scheme. Green, aquamarine. This is the piece of fabric that came earlier here in the dress of the woman. It's the same, but it's a lighter piece of the fabric. So I really wanted to use that. These were kind of experiments with a thirteenth pen, and I had them still somewhere in my folder. So I thought, this is amazing. And first I thought, I want to work it out. I want to show you something. But then I thought, it's just okay to add some things that are abstract things. And of course, there's a pattern here that I also created on road. And here is another pattern. And if you open these ones, then you see a piece of the fabric from the other page. Oh, that's not fabric, that's a gel print. And here you can see a sugar bag from the day before when we were drinking coffee and eating churros, Spanish churros, in a restaurant. And if you open this one, you see the tree. So this is my final pattern page. And for this one, I also adapted a pattern from Alhambra. I also used a piece of fabric that I still had in my folder, and this is the same one. And the fun thing is, I created one pattern when I was at home, and that's this one. I started with a new project with creating a pile of my clothes. It isn't finished yet, so I will do this one in another YouTube video, but I really loved the pattern that was on my skirt with these kind of leaves, and I was so in love with the leaves that I wanted to create more of those. And here I have blank ones with no lines, and here I have some lines. What I also did was, when I glued it down, I was pressing the page a little here at this point, and then you see that the Posca, I think it's the ivory color, it's fading a bit, but I really love that effect. So I did it on purpose, and I really loved it. And I loved it so much that I even used it for the cover. And after I glued this one down, I mentioned that here was actually the same thing. So I was starting somewhere else in another project, and it's continued and it continued. And then I had these ones and I was glued down, and I thought, oh, okay, the circle is complete. There are leaves. So I added another leaf here to make it extra complete. The thing here, this thing here, is a hygienic towel that you can throw away after use. I use those for cleaning my brushes and rollers, but they turn out to be wonderful backgrounds in an art journal. And this one is the same thing, but with different colors. And it continues on the other side. But that's something that I'll show in my next video. These patterns are again mixtures of circle shapes and square shapes. This one is inspired by this one, but I had not enough space to draw the 8-point stars, but I improvised a bit by adding the lines here to make it a bit differently and to make it interesting. And finally, I will show you my most important page dedicated to the Alhambra. The front page of the chapter Alhambra. I must admit that I created this one when we were back home. It took me some time to think about what was the most impressive thing about Alhambra next to the patterns. There were so many beautiful things, it was hard to choose. I first set up a page background for drawing the Alhambra from a distance, from the outside. But in the end, I thought, I have to do something really special on this first page of the Alhambra chapter. I have to create the soul of Alhambra. So I decided to draw the pond with the reflection in the water. I also bought this book, and this was the one I really fell in love with, so I wanted to create that. But that's not a thing that I normally do, copying something from a picture. And this was a really great challenge, but also it was an adventure because there's a reflection. So what's here, what's above is below as well. So it has to be the same actually. And well, you can see this from underneath and this you see a little from above. So there is a bit difference, and I am not someone who is measuring and well, counting things, but you see also here the spaces between are not equal. But that's not really the problem for me. For me, it was like the building is standing, and it's really amazing to look so closely to all those tiny details, the walls here. I really wanted to cover that in my picture. And here was a place where you could walk. Here behind, actually, it was two. So I thought it would be great. There's a fountain here, but I had no space for this one, and I wanted to be like how I did it. I just wanted to create some space, and I really respect all the people who created these kind of buildings and patterns. And I thought it was an amazing experience because I did something that I don't usually do, and I learned a lot. I learned to look closer to things. I took that with me in my later art pieces, and I felt like I really needed to do some copies of patterns here. And here is actually the one that I already showed you, that I improvised. That's this one. I only skipped the color of green because I didn't have enough space. This one was a bit inspired by these leaf shapes, but I, well, did kind of my own thing here. And I really like to write down some things on the pages. This is the first chapter. This is the one you've already seen. So here the story is starting. So this really needed to be a good page. And this one I created after looking at this picture, and it was very hard to make it, but I managed it. I used a bit of different colors that were matching my image of the pond. So it was really a wonderful thing to do and to work on this project. After that, I did the project with the pile of clothes that I already showed you. And I was looking with another eyes to all my clothes, and I wanted to work on details, and it was really a great experience. So I can really recommend that. To do something you've never done before, like a building or a pattern that looks very hard. You really train your eyes with that. That was it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel because this really helps us grow the channel. I hope to see you next time, and I will share with you my final pages of my Spain art journal. I see you then. Bye!